So could you hear my cheesy elevator music while you waited? We're running a little bit ahead of schedule, but why don't we go ahead and get started? It'd be a great evening to get to hang out, to look at some feature updates, and maybe answer a few questions if you've got them. I do. I've got some questions that I would like to pose to you and see if I can get some feedback from you. Let me get everything squared away. We'll drop the countdown since we've already started. Got one clock that says 7. Another one says 6:59, so we're not too far off of target. Let's get up so I can monitor the comments. Oh, Link Spider. Yeah, I'd rather mow at this point. So I'm far enough south that there's been a lot of activity at our baseball and softball field. We have a new baseball coach this year at our high school, and he has done a fantastic job of getting the baseball field ready. In this town, they call it the backyard, and it is truly a community effort. Back in the day when they built this field, everybody turned out to go move dirt, to weld up the fences, everything. They take great pride in what they do, and so this kid that they've hired, this young man that they've hired, grew up here and played here. So he is excited to get back and do what he's always loved to do, and that's be at the backyard and take care of it. And he's got it looking great. Our softball coaches do a great job there as well. But yeah, we'd rather be mowing at this point than have snow. We didn't get any snow. Well, it flurried, I think, Monday night, but very, very little did we get here. You move an hour or so east and south from here, and they were iced in. And then you go another hour east and south from there, down around Beaumont, and we've got some friends that live there that got inches, many inches of snow, and it was a beautiful scene in their backyard, I guarantee you. Ryan, go take that crazy pill and come back as soon as you can. Ryan and I have been cooperating on some projects, troubleshooting back and forth, some cameras, and yeah, Ryan and I share a little bit of crazy sometimes, so it's a common theme between the two of us. So for those of you who are here, if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer anything that you've got. I'd really just hope to pop on here and see you all had the time to come in and just visit and gather and enjoy each other for a little while. A couple of updates that I will give you. Some feature updates that have come out in the past week or 2 weeks or maybe a little more than that. But one of those things we are actually trying right now. It works, obviously, but we are testing this. I'm testing it for the first time, and we'll talk about that one here in just a little bit. I will let you know that if you have an OBSBot Talent, their Magewell Mini Director or Director Mini version, their version of that they've taken and run with their own branch of software. If you have one of those, hey Darren, good to see you. Glad you popped in. If you have one of the OBSBot Talents, they did drop an update maybe yesterday. It's recent. Maybe that wasn't the one that was yesterday. Maybe it was Avcans that dropped one yesterday. But anyway, they've brought in SRT, which is a great caller listener kind of exchange that you can set up when we need the chat knit. I don't understand that terminology. If you can clarify that, we need the chat. I don't understand that. I'll do whatever it is you need, but let me know. So they've brought SRT into it. A couple other little features, but the big one, still the big update for the OBSBot Talent is that they brought in HTML web pages. So you can run a scoreboard. You can run a scoreboard service. You can navigate to the HTML, the URL, and Okay, needs have changed in studio. Well, that's good. That's good. Uh, you can run HTML, scoreboard overlay, a web service. You can navigate to it from within the talent and go get it. So that's a big change for those that are going to use this. Like I highlighted how to use it for my away game football setup, and to run those scoreboards and to do it from a service. I can take a secondary device, keepthescore.com. Which one is it? There's some that are very useful. And you can run it on a secondary device. Just your login on your iPhone, and while you're doing all the things with keeping up with it on your console here, your ObsBot talent, you can actually change the score from your other device. I thought it was pretty cool. That's one of the updates that we saw. Let's see, Nearstream has not put out one in about a month, if I remember right. But the last one they did was good. I updated it a couple of weeks ago, and it I've had really good luck out of my Nearstream cameras and using them. And I oftentimes bring them into Mevo or connect them to a YOLO box or my talent, and they do a great job. Very clear picture, beautiful zoom that we get there. So Darren, thanks so much for stumping for me. That's mighty kind of you. I appreciate that. Yeah, would love to help as many folks as we can. Had a call from a guy in just outside of Fort Worth on Saturday. Did a consultation call with him. It's from a church, and he was doing his best to get some new PTZ cameras set up. And we probably stayed on the phone an hour and a half, and just had a great time visiting. We have a common friend. One of the guys that he's close to used to live across the street from me, and so it was good to catch up with how things are going in that world. I don't get to see them near as often as I like, but yeah, it was good conference, good consultation call that we had with that little church, and successful. Got them running for Sunday service, so that was really good. All right, another of the updates that we've seen. Let's see. I went through several updates earlier today. Have you had an update that changed anything for you other than the YOLO folks and Facebook? Man, what a mess Facebook made for the YOLO community. Everybody in their customer groups was just struggling for a while. Just struggling to get anything to Facebook. And of course, then everybody asks, you don't read the comments, you just ask, right? And that's the way most customer groups work anyway. Oh, a little warm cocoa on a cool night sure is nice. All right, so we've got scrimmages coming up for our high school baseball team, like next week or the week after, and I don't know that I'll catch all the scrimmages. Scrimmages are always so stinking cold, and if they're not in town and I can't get into the GH7 allows a direct RTMP stream, and that's today. That's great news. I had an email from a guy today that's using that camera, and he had some questions about it, so I'm glad to know that. Thanks for sharing that little bit of gold right there, because that's good news for folks who are gonna stream. So you can RTMP from that device, and you can take that over to whatever scoring app you want to. You can run it in. That possibility is limitless whenever you put RTMP in there. That's really good news. Thanks for sharing that. Scrimmages, cold weather, but that means that we're right around the corner from real baseball. We've got a tournament coming up, first part of February, and I love shooting tournaments, love streaming tournaments, because you get so much activity, especially if you do some round robin play before the tournament starts, or if you just do round robin and call it a tournament. You get some really good games. You get to show and hang out at the ballpark for a while and talk to folks and just enjoy that. So I'm excited that baseball season has finally come to us, and we didn't freeze to death in the meantime. Oh my goodness, it's been a ride of cold, but it's been enjoyable. Eric Schmitz, hey bud, so glad that we did catch up together. That's good. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I told my wife when she came in from work this afternoon, I said, hey, I'm going to go live at 7. She said, why? So apparently it's been a long time since I've done this. I said, because I haven't done it in so long. So she's always gracious and pauses her internet use for a little while because I live in rural Texas and we only get so much internet around here, and I have to, and actually I'm using Speedify, so I'm combining the cell signal in my iPad with the data that comes into my house, and we're getting there. So yeah, ever so often we do. I like to go live and just catch up with folks and giving you updates that I can give. It's a whole lot of fun just to get to hang out. Answer questions, pose a few questions if I can come up with some questions to ask too, but just kind of throw around some knowledge in between the folks that tune in, and because there's always good information from you guys because you catch things that it's not in my circle at this point. So appreciate you being in here, and if you got anything to add, man, add to the comments and to the chat, and we'll get it talked about. So yeah, baseball season coming. I'm excited about that one. So in the winter time, we've still got basketball going on for another few weeks. Are any of you streaming basketball? I streamed a basketball game that obviously that Nearstream Nearstream ecosystem video that I did a few weeks ago was basketball, and basketball's a lot of fun. I love to stream it. But then I also hate to because you're always in a gym, and my statement has always been it makes a great Faraday cage because you can't get a signal in or out. And so I wind up trying to hope there's a window somewhere in that gym that I can get up high enough and get my hot spots to get a signal in or out. I've got a guy that I befriended when I moved to the town that I'm in now, works for AT&T, and we were talking we're talking streaming and all that stuff. His kids were involved in baseball and softball, and he was always around the ballpark. But he said, trying to make a cell signal go through glass is a crapshoot. He said it's hit or miss because glass does weird stuff to cell signals. And this guy worked for AT&T out of Tyler, Texas, and dealt with some of that stuff. And he said, man, maybe you can, maybe you can't, but trying to get a cell signal is much easier to go through drywall and studs and siding, or not aluminum siding, but vinyl siding, than it is to go through glass because it just goes kind of crazy when it goes through glass. We didn't get to talk much more about that, but in those gyms when I'm trying to stream basketball, and the action is there, it's well confined within your view, and it's a lot of fun to stream. But if you're relying on anything other than fiber internet that the school lets you use or that the venue lets you use, it's just a struggle to get a signal back out. So, any of you doing basketball? That was the question there. Any of you doing basketball? Finishing out the season this year? Little Dribblers has kicked off in a lot of places, so maybe you're streaming little kid basketball, which is a lot of fun. I ran a Little Dribblers league for a year or two in the town I used to live in, and I would wake up on Saturday morning saying, what was I thinking? What have I done? I've got to be at the gym, for the next 8 or 10 hours. And then by the time I was done with it, it was so much fun. I was exhausted, but it was great because those kids just have a blast, and it's fun to watch kids have so much fun. So anyway, basketball, good stuff. All right, updates. So talking about sports that we're streaming, talking about the equipment that we use to stream. Updates. And so the biggest update that I've seen in the last month has been Mevo Single Cam, their original app. They dropped an update. Eric, I'll get to your question in just a second. I don't want to lose this train of thought because I've lost it twice already just in this short stream. They dropped an update to their Single Cam app that had a couple of minor changes and then one really big change. They allow now in the Single Cam app, if you're using a Mevo Core, 4K streaming and recording. And so right now in this stream, we are 4K in our stream. If you want to go in and change the setting and how you're viewing this in YouTube and go ahead and bump that up to 4K and let me know how it looks. I'm not really well lit in here. I've just got the one accent light that I use, and then the one backfill light that the battery died on, so it's not even on anymore. So it's not real bright in here, and I know sometimes that will make a picture be a little bit grainy. But if you want to bump your viewing experience up to 4K, and let me know if 4K at 10 megabits per second, I chose a custom a custom bit rate on this. 4K at 10 megabits per second. Tell me how it looks. This is controlled environment, obviously, but lit well enough, maybe. Thanks, Steiner. I appreciate that. Wonder why it was looking so good. Well, it's not because of who's on camera. It's just got to be what the camera is putting out. So yeah, they dropped 4K streaming. Now, YOLObox did it first on their Ultra, and I'm assuming that the Extreme will have it as well. They wouldn't go backwards. And 4K streaming to me is just so clear, providing that it's, I haven't looked at the final product on this one yet. Again, just testing it now. I mean, this is first rattle out of the box. We haven't done anything else with it. I didn't pre-run this before the live stream tonight, just trying to see what does 4K streaming at 10 megabits per second. It defaulted to 20. And I probably could have handled the 20 with what I have, maybe. I'm right at a steady, consistent, solid 9 megabits per second upload, and I am using HEVC through the Mevo app. So the way that works is I went ahead and used the YouTube login. I didn't use RTMP for this one. I'm running straight to YouTube login, and when you hit the go live button at the top, it's going to tell you that you're streaming at 1080. And when you hit that thing for it to drop down, it's not a drop down box. It just says 1080, but you tap on it and it drops down and it gives you your choices: 1080, 720, 480, 360, and custom at the bottom. So I chose custom because I had already set up all of my video settings in the Mevo app to be 4K, and went ahead and did a custom bit rate of 10 megabits per second for all those. For recording, I set it at 4K 20, or maybe even higher than that. For streaming, I did it at 4K 10 in the video settings. So when I chose custom, after I pressed go live, and I've got all the things to set the stream with. That's where it was. It doesn't show up as 4K in the app itself. It shows up as custom. So if you want to try to do the same thing, when you open the Mevo app, this is not available on the Multicam app yet, and I'll tell you why in just a second. It's a very specific reason why, but it's available on the Single Cam app, and so you can set up 4K and a custom bit rate, and that's what we are now. And so if it looks good, great. I will go back and watch the video after a while and decide for myself if it's something that I want to use. But it's one of those things that I'll probably only ever use in a controlled environment, because unless I can figure out a way to get Starlink to come up with the funds for a Starlink Mini, I probably won't have the ability this year to run a 4K stream. So I'll do it here, but I won't get to do it out in the field. Okay, so I set it at 4K 10 megabits per second. Did that after I pressed go live. But at the bottom of the screen, where you're putting in the details of your stream, there is an advanced settings there. Go ahead and tap on that one as well. Or maybe it's the toggle switch at the bottom. I don't remember, but there's still two choices to mess with. The advanced and then the HEVC. Go ahead and turn HEVC on. I know it says it's beta. It works great. Turn HEVC on, because that's going to just about half your required upload speed. I've talked about this in some videos, but I'll go ahead and say it again. HEVC is going to be a lifesaver and a game changer for a lot of folks who live stream, mobile live stream, because you can run a 1080 stream that usually requires 8 megabits per second upload. You can run it at 4, just about 4. So when I look at what I'm uploading right now, it has never gotten off of 5 megabits per second. You know how you can tap on the number of folks that are in your stream at the bottom next to the live button, and it'll show you your battery level, your time streaming, and then it tells you how fast you're uploading. And mine is just topped out and steady, 5 megabits per second. 5 megabits per second on a 4K stream at 10 megabits bit rate. But HEVC allows you to half that. And that's one of the reasons why I would love your feedback. Does it look okay? Does it look like it's a cheap version of 4K? Because the Mevo Core, which we're streaming with right now, has a fantastic sensor. I've got a really good lens going in it. So it should be a great picture, except for the lighting. I know I'm a little bit light on the lighting. That's okay. But if we get into that 5 megabits per second upload speed for a 4K stream, maybe I can stream a baseball game. Maybe I can stream a football game or outdoor event type stuff, mobile live streaming in 4K. Can you imagine? It was just a few years ago we were excited to get LTE, and that's really where the ability to live stream came from. When LTE finally was rolled out across the United States, we got the ability. So, okay, so we got, looks great, clean, and no drops. The no drops thing is huge. Thank you for that part of the feedback for video and audio. Hey, RK Stream Time, you're talking about Starlink. I'm going to work back up these comments right quick while I've got myself distracted. Yes, what is it, like a $600 upfront cost? But then for me, streaming usually 2 games a week during baseball season, that $50 a month, I can ditch my MiFi hotspot from T-Mobile, and I can take Starlink and know that I'm going to get a signal everywhere I go around here. Because, I mean, yeah, I live in East Texas, and there's a lot of pine trees. But I can get out, I can get around those pine trees. I can get at a baseball field. I can find a spot where there's not some pine trees. I can get a clear view of the sky, and I can get that. And so from what I'm hearing, it's going to give me pretty close to that same 9 megabits per second upload just through Starlink. And then if I speedify that, like Ryan just said, that's where speedify and multiple sources come into play. If I then go ahead and speedify that on my iPad and use my cell signal there, or even, just let's say use my cell signal there, then I've got a little bit more. I think maybe we could get some 4K streams out, and maybe this year, not next year, but it is a big upfront cost. So, all right, Eric, you had asked a question. Can you speak to some more admin related things that you have faced, such as waivers and parental release forms? So as far as football streaming, I've never dealt with any of that. In the high school setting, unless a team has a kid that's in some kind of foster situation, or maybe a messy parental dispute, there's, at least where I am, like Darren said, it probably changes state to state legalities. I've never had a coach mention it. I've never had it brought up. I've never had anything. But again, you're far enough away that you're not getting a really good face shot for most of the time. For football, I have done the 30 times PTZ camera where I did get some decent face shots. But anyway, for baseball, I have had other coaches from the other team tell us you can't stream. And whether it was a kid or whether it was what it was, that I've gotten that word as I rolled up to a game, and the team where we were, politely, it was not a demand. It was just, hey, look, here's the situation. We can't stream this. Okay, no problem. If the coach wants me to record it, I'll record it for him and go on about my way. If he doesn't, I just enjoy the game. But if that's only happened one time in the several years that I've been streaming, since 2018 or so. So yeah, once I've had to deal with that. For smaller kids, I bet it's more of an issue. But for the high school kids, I mean, that if it's not me doing it, if we're at a small school, and I'm thankful for that, bigger schools they're gonna stream their own. They're gonna have their own setup, right? That's becoming all automated and huge high dollar stuff that that the schools are installing there. So yeah. So all right. So we talked about the 4K streaming and how to get there, right? Press go live, choose custom. So long as you've already set your video settings to where they're supposed to be, go ahead and take advantage of HEVC in that toggle that Mevo gives you. Make sure that you've checked every box there. And the reason why, I mentioned this a second ago, you're welcome, Eric. The reason why it's not available in multicam and it is available in the single cam app is fundamental. It won't ever be like this. I mean, it may be available, but there's a fundamental change that I don't think they can make. Maybe they can. I won't speak for them. When you stream with the single cam app, the camera is the encoder. It does the crunching and then just sends the signal over, and your device, my iPad, sends the signal out, right? When you stream with the multicam app, your cameras just send a signal over, and the iPad, the control device, does the encoding. It becomes the encoder. So 4K sent to it and ask that iPad to do all the processing of getting it ready to go out. Too much of a load. Maybe the newest iPad Pro could handle it, but I mean, are you going to release that feature for just a few folks who have the newest iPad Pro compared to all the other people that stream with whatever they're streaming with? So the 4K streaming, not available on multicam. That is, this is not a multicam feature. It's just a single cam app. But I was daydreaming about this today as I was impatiently waiting for 7 o'clock to show up so we could go live on this live stream. And I can imagine the behind the plate shot, okay? Single camera, it's just behind the plate shot as a Mevo Core with a lens that's got a field of view wide enough to catch the infield, okay? I like that idea. Because you're 4K in the sensor and because you're 4K as you're streaming, what would it look like to go ahead and punch in like that, right? That's just a tap on the screen. You can go ahead and set it to be, go ahead and get that back so we can see. You can go ahead and set it to be a static shot preset. Set that for third base. Set that for first base. Go ahead and set the one for the pitcher catcher shot, like a lot of us did when we first started streaming with a Mevo Start. And when we punched in, it'd be blurry and it would be grainy and it'd be not the best. Folks could see it at home, and we were excited to get that and get it to the grandparents at home. It was great then. And then you get to where you want better and you want more and you want clearer. And we began to get clearer and better and more. And so that no longer was the shot. So we greatly increased our investment in this, and we added different camera angles. And even in the Mevo ecosystem, different camera angle only means a different camera shot. It doesn't mean 2 or 3 static shots on that camera angle because you can't move fast enough. You can't get to that part of the Mevo multicam app fast enough to change it in a baseball game, or at least I can't. I'm not that good. But if we've got a 4K sensor behind the plate in the Mevo Core, and we've got a 4K stream, then when we punch in to that 2 or 3 times zoom for third base or first base, or that 1.5 or 2 times zoom for the pitcher catcher exchange, then we've still got a great shot for the folks to watch at home. If they can come up with the bandwidth to stream it in 4K, then when we punch in and we're streaming and we are sending the stream in 4K, wouldn't that be a great picture for a single camera app to cover the entire infield? Tell me what you think. Am I seeing this with rose-colored glasses? Is the eternal optimist in me just kind of going haywire here, and that's not really the way it works? It seems to me that might be a great way to get a single camera setup. A lot of folks, when we talk about, okay, what's the best route to go, and we're talking about, how many cameras we're going to use, where are we going to go with the, I missed that from the single cam, and I've been begging. Yes, Ryan and I have talked to Mevo several times about including that front level, that top level. Let me take the static shot presets on the top level so I can change it, or give me a program button in the image adjustments area so I can change the program out. Either one will work, but yes, me and you both, brother. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. That single shot, folks ask, okay, what camera, what software should I use? And the best software still, if you're just going to run software, is Mevo. There's still no comparison. It's developed. It is seasoned. It has aged well. It is. They continue to update it. I mean, just like this. This is a new update with the Mevo single cam app. It's great. We talk about camera. They want something better than the Start because they recognize it's a 2018 release. but they don't want to pay for the core plus a lens. And so but if we're talking a 4K stream from that 4K sensor and we don't have to invest in other cameras, I talked to one last week who their kid plays middle infield. And so they're going to be at second or short, and they're going to be at the batter's box. They're going to be running the bases. So everything their kid will do will happen on the infield. Mevo Core on a 4K stream is the perfect setup for them. One camera. You don't have a whole lot of other setup. You don't have, I mean, all the things that we've done to make better have complicated things. And so it becomes a very simple setup. Okay, yeah, it becomes a very simple setup because you've just got one control device, one camera. You may need a little bit of extra data to get that 4K stream, but hey, I think maybe it works. Curious though, if you punch in 2 or 3 times a core at 1080, won't the camera crop the signal, again, single cam only, appropriately and not lose quality? If that's true, somebody explain this so that I can understand it. If that's Ryan, what do you think? Is it possible that that's true? That what Link Spider just posted is true? If you punch in 2 or 3 times streaming a core at 1080, okay, so at 1080, won't the camera crop the signal, again, the single cam only, appropriately and not lose quality? Starting at 4K or starting at 1080? I'm not clear on that part of it. If you start at 1080 and you crop digitally, you're going to crop to 1080, then you're going to crop to 720 or 2160. I mean, 2K, 1080, 720. If you're going by increments of 1, I don't know. I hope that's possible, because man, that's an even better scenario than what I've been daydreaming about, what I've been imagining. Pardon me. So what do we think? Now, how does that really work if we're punching in? Steiner says that sounds right. Wow. I asked because the camera is the one encoding. Yes, it is. There's some testing to be done. Oh, I've got some field research to go and do. I'm excited. That's wow. What a great possibility. Yeah, okay. But I could also be making things up. That's where I live most of the time. Most of the time, I'm yeah, making it up as I go along. Hey, I love the transparency. That is incredible, fantastic. Okay, so that 4K streaming is the big drop. That's the big feature update that I had hoped to visit with you guys about this evening. What a great feature, and what fantastic possibilities. So it's been my opinion for the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, as I have heard whispers of what's coming from in Mevo Multicam, and how all the features from the original Mevo software are expected to be ported into Mevo Multicam at some point. And I really didn't expect a lot of updates to the single cam app. And then all of a sudden we get 4K streaming. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this a while ago. It's not just 4K that they dropped. They also dropped 1080 60. For those of you who have been saying, why can't we do 60 frames per second? We're streaming sports, for crying out loud. Give us 60. They dropped that right along with the 4K streaming. So in the single cam app, you get 1080 60 if you want to stream in 1080. You get 4K 30. You're not going to get 4K 60 out of it right now, and probably not, but you do get 1080 60 if you want that. I didn't if that's a lead for anybody, I didn't mean to bury the lead, but that's another really good feature that they're offering us. Okay, I didn't expect this kind, or maybe I would say I didn't expect an update at all from the single cam app, based on they're moving everything toward the multicam app, and have been for quite some time. That's not new news. Okay, I don't know if any of the folks in here are running the beta program that Mevo lets you sign up for, but multicam, I'm running in the multicam beta program, and in their public beta, their most recent public beta update, I think that is, I probably shouldn't say what version it is because you're on 3.3.3 in the App Store version of multicam, and it is anyway the beta version. For church folks, it did give us NDI HQ in multicam. No longer stuck with NDI HX, not stuck. NDI HX is wonderful, but there's a couple of things it won't do. And so NDI HQ allows you to output your computer and bring it in as an input in some ways that you couldn't do with HX. For example, and the one that I was working on all last week, the ability to take my Pro Presenter 7, which shows the slides, shows my lyrics and my scriptures in church. A lot of government and school organizations use Pro Presenter as well. It has a footprint in all three categories, government, school, and church. And it's a great presentation software. It's very powerful. For example, you can have the camera angle change when it comes to a certain slide if you're streaming, right? So you get to the second verse and you want the camera angle change at the second verse, it goes to a different camera. Pretty cool. I mean, it's got some cool stuff built in. But the Mevo Multicam Beta most recent update allows you to export your lyrics as a lower third transparency. I did a video about that one not too long ago on the Android tablet. That they got it first, and then they dropped it for they released it for iOS as well. But when they put it on the iPad first, it didn't work with Pro Presenter. It was still just a black screen with the lower thirds. It covered up whatever you're trying to show through. And so they got that bug worked out. We got that figured out when they dropped 3 point whatever it is in the beta. The most recent one did fix that. And so now I can show all with the multicam app, nothing special. Let Pro Presenter export it, put it on the network via NDI HQ. The multicam app picks it up, and I can lower third everything that we do, every song we do, and every scripture we read. I am fired up about that one. But I'm fired up because my media guy doesn't have to do anything extra. I went in and I set it up as an output, set it up as a look, what they call a look in Pro Presenter 7. First you set up the screen, then you set up the look, you choose your lower third, you make sure it's transparent, and then it just exists. Because that computer is on the network, then that information is also on the network. And so when my streaming guy picks up his iPad, all he has to do is make sure that picture-in-picture that I set up for him is on. And so when there's no slides being shown, you don't have any overlay. When there is a slide being shown, we have the overlay of either the words or the scripture that's fired up. I love that idea. So for church streamers, that was a big drop as well. If you're in the beta program, I don't know how much longer that's going to stay in beta. That feature is going to stay in beta, but it should be coming out for the public release, the App Store version of it here pretty soon. Okay. Well, folks, I've just about talked myself out of it. So unless you've got other questions that you'd like to ask, I'll be glad to hang out and answer any questions that you've got. It's not an ask me anything, but you can just about ask me anything. I used to do that with my kids when I was a youth minister. I would just volunteer the adults, any adults that were in the room. I'd say, okay, come bring your chair and get up here in the front. There'd be 4 or 5 of us that would sit down, and I'd say, okay, you can ask us anything you want to about whatever we've been talking about that night. Those adult volunteers were like, they would vapor lock on me, but they knew more than they thought they knew. And so they would ask questions, but it wasn't ask me anything. And they could ask me about, how Melanie and my wife and I met. They could ask us anything, but try to keep it toward kind of what we've been talking about. But it was so much fun to do Ask Me Anything live in front of real people. Those are a blast. Thank you so much for the way you guys participate in the world of mobile live streaming. This community is incredible. And I haven't talked about it in a while, but I used to talk about it a lot. We are creating a niche. I love the idea that we're creating this space that allows people to reach back into their own communities, into their own families, and do good there. Brian, I'm glad you jumped in. What's the question? Do you think Speedify does what they claim it does? I'm a subscriber for the next 3 years. I hope it does what they claim it does if you're subscribed for the next 3 years. I'm just kidding. Yes, it does. Ryan, I'd love for you, if you're still in here, Ryan Houchin, if you're still in here, would you help me answer this question? Because I know Ryan uses it as well. Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, before I started this stream, as I was killing time waiting on 7 o'clock to hurry up and get here, I went ahead and ran. Absolutely, if you have multiple connections. Okay, went ahead and ran some tests. I connected to my connection here at the house. I'm not that far from the church. I can get their signal pretty strong from the church. I mean, it's just right over there. I connected to the signal at the church just to compare, and there was a difference, right? Probably because of the distance. There was a difference, but I'm connecting my cell connection from my iPad. It's a cell device, and whatever data I'm paying for at the house or at the church. And so yes, I can run a speed test in Speedify and see what each one is giving. And so if my what am I on there, Verizon or T-Mobile, whichever one the iPad is, if it was giving me 3 or 4 megabits per second upload, my home internet was giving me the other 6 or 7 megabits per second upload to get me to that 9 or 10 or 11. Some of the tests I ran were 12, some of them were 9. And so yes, I don't ever get 12 or 9 just from one. It's got to be both of them. So yeah, you can see that it does. You can watch the little graph as it goes by in Speedify. So yes, Speedify does what they claim it does. And most of the time, I run it through my iPad. It's just running on my iPad. I have done the router thing. Ryan has done the Raspberry Pi thing where he's put OpenWRT software on his Raspberry Pi to make it into a router and put Speedify on there. Brilliant. I haven't gotten to it. I'm still lagging behind there, brother. I'm sorry about that, but I am. It will only use what it needs to do for data in Speed Plus mode. It will only use what it needs to do for data. Am I reading the words? It will only use what it needs to do for data. Can you make that so I can understand it? Ryan and I have never sat in the same room ever in our life, but I would call him a friend. Not OpenWRT. Okay. We've never sat in the same room at the same time together, but I would call him a friend because he tells me the truth, and he treats me as intellectually challenged as I really am. And I treat him as crazy as he really is. So what lenses are you using on your Mevo Core now? Same ones. I am very well satisfied with the 1442. What is that? Olympus 1442. Is that right? I think Ryan's got one of the same ones. That's the one I use most of the time. Matter of fact, I've got 2 Mevo Cores and I've got that same lens on both of them. I do have a 45-175 that I can get a little bit further out with. And I've used that in my football streams before. I've used it in baseball too, but I don't very often. That 1442 is doing what I want it to, and I really like it. I really do. Okay. If you only need 5, I got you. Yes, sir. If you only need 5, it will only use 5. How does it determine what you need? Do you tell it, or does it figure it out by itself, Ryan? Now, Brian, that is very generous. I'll say thank you. But then I'll say, you didn't have to do that. Oh, my goodness. This is just us. But thanks. I appreciate that. That's very, very kind. And that bought you any other question you want to ask. I see live folks do that all the time. Oh, you spent so many dollars. It figures it out, apparently. Hey, I'll take the magic that they put in there because it has saved my butt on a lot of live streams. I just go ahead and put it out there like that. Whatever it is they're doing to make that live stream stay live and give me a quality upload speed. Okay, I'm glad they've got it figured out because they're a whole lot smarter than I am when it comes to getting all that good stuff going out over the interwebs. Good stuff. All right, I've got time for more questions if you have them. But if you don't, I don't want to waste your time either, folks. You are a great community, and I love spending time with you. I wish I could get to know you. Um, you know, I oh, you know what? Last summer, I don't know if I've told this story yet. Last summer, my wife and I went to the beach. Was it in Alabama? Where did we go? My memory's about as long as a rat. Um, we went to. I'm gonna have to ask her now. Ah, come on, man! Don't you just hate it whenever your brain goes, no, you cannot access that information? Yeah, me too. So let's ask the wife. Where did we go? What place did we stay? Did we stay at last beach? All right, here's the deal. We were there. We were in a condo. It was a lot of fun. Had a blast at the beach. Water was clear, and you don't always get clear water in the Gulf. And there was a tournament, at least one tournament, probably three. Yes, the name of the condo. That's what I'm looking for. There was at least, well, looking at the uniforms and the size of the kids coming through, I'm guessing there were probably three tournaments happening. It was on the tip of my tongue, and I missed it. The Lighthouse, what town? Why am I just absolutely Gulf Shores? Oh my goodness, yes, thank you. We were in Gulf Shores at a condo called the Lighthouse, and there were tournaments happening there in Gulf Shores, no doubt about it. And you don't know how bad I wanted to post on my YouTube and Instagram. Hey, let's have a streaming meetup, you know, and just to see if any of the folks who were in those tournament settings were folks who streamed their games too. But I was off and I was disconnected. I was unplugged. So yeah. Okay. Eric says the most dangerous video you ever put out was the recent one where you turned us into Hooch and the other two gentlemen. I didn't leave the internet. I'm telling you, Ryan and Eric and Gordon are brilliant, and they bring so much great information and knowledge and wisdom with them to what we do. It's really, really cool. Greg says, Jason, no question right now. Just wanted to say that I'm a long-time subscriber. Appreciate your advice. Support my local community, like you said. Greg, I appreciate you being in your local community and making a difference for them. Wherever we live, right? I've lived in several towns in my adult life. And wherever we live, I believe it is up to us to invest in that community. Why else would we be there if it weren't to make the place where we are better? As a matter of fact, I'm not going to preach at you. You know I'm a preacher, but I'm not going to preach at you. But one of the scriptures God gave me to move me here was pray for the place where I've put you. Pray for its peace and its prosperity, because as it prospers, you too will prosper. If you need to know where that is, it's Jeremiah 29:7. A lot of folks know Jeremiah 29:11. Not many folks know Jeremiah 29:7. But make a difference in the place where you are. That's what you're doing when you do stuff like this. It's really, really cool. Thank you very much. Hooch says if you put OpenWT on the Raspberry Pi, that makes it a router plan. Okay. You can just put Speedify on the Raspberry Pi. If you, on the Raspberry Pi, you can use the lower price tier. That's good information. You and I had talked about that, and you didn't know how that would pan out for you, but I'm glad you at least got the answer, even if it wasn't the answer we were hoping for. Pocket Radar for Christmas. Do you think the Mevo Go screen share would be the way to make a picture-in-picture? I have used Mevo Go for that exact same reason. Yes, and I have been on consultation calls with a couple of folks this year who are doing the same thing. It works well. Yes, you can trust it. It'll do great. Brian, rock and roll with Pocket Radar. If any of you have a better way to get Pocket Radar in cheaply and easily, throw it out there. But yeah, and you can use the Raspberry Pi's Wi-Fi as a third connection. Oh, there's another. Ryan, we have got to collaborate and get something on recorded at some point. There's too much good in that Raspberry Pi thing for me just to leave it sitting over there on the table. I mean, it's sitting right over there, and I just haven't done it yet. Doty. What a game your Rams played the other night. I'm sorry you're not still in it. I really am. But oh my goodness. You guys had a great season. Great season. I hope the Rams play Houston again in preseason so I can visit again. Dodie came and we had lunch together. See, that's what I'm talking about. I wish I could meet you guys. We did. We went to a little Mexican food place after church one Sunday because Dodie had done the radio program producing for the Rams. That's one of his gigs that he does. And they were in Houston. So he drove up, spent the night, and we got to hang out for a while. It was a blast. And my wife and I went to lunch with him. So it was really cool. Yeah, maybe we can get to do that again. Hey, Jai. Looking on from Trinidad and Tobago. I had a student from Trinidad and Tobago when I was teaching a math class at a little community college, a little junior college just down the road. Very respectful young man. Really enjoyed him. He represented where you are from very well. Link Spider says, go ahead and preach. Sometimes I can't help it. All right. Gulf Shores, Orange Beach is our second home. Well, I can see why. It's beautiful. Oh, my goodness. It is gorgeous down there. We had such a great time. Tried to go eat at a couple of the touristy places, and it was just ridiculous. So we went and ate at just a little mom and pop cafe. It's the best seafood. Man, it was so good. I was so glad to have found that little out of the way place. Good place to be. Gulf Shores was a great vacation, great getaway, and Melanie and I talk about it often. The time that we spent there and just how much we really enjoyed it. Hello. I'm so glad that you took the time to pop in to our live stream. We've had such a great time visiting this evening, answered a few questions, got a few updates on some things that are happening in the mobile live streaming world, and really just have enjoyed this. Any new hot equipment you're excited about? Yes, there is one. There's one new camera that I do not have my hands on. Doc's Seafood. Is that the place? I'm terrible with names. I couldn't even remember the name of the town just a minute ago, but yeah, maybe that is the place. It was incredible. Any new hot equipment you're excited about? Yes, absolutely. Clive Ludford. My friend, glad you're here. Hi. So glad you popped in. Oh, yeah, it's not late for greetings. We can always greet each other. It's always good. So, yes, there is one camera, and I don't have it yet. They're having a hard time getting it out. I was on the list, and then I got bumped somehow. But I expect it in the next few weeks to be in my hands. Hopefully before it ships to everybody else, but some of you have already pre-ordered this one, and that is the OBSBot Tail. I am very well excited for that camera, and I'll tell you why I'm very well excited for that camera, because when I take my road streaming baseball setup, I will almost always set that one up at a dugout, right, either third base or first base, whichever our kids feel, and I'll get a side view of pitcher catcher. I like that view. I used it almost exclusively one year. Didn't set up behind home plate very often at all. Side view for pitcher catcher. I'll do another view that shoots across the infield, and then I'll do that third view toward the outfield, and with a tail with a 5 times optical zoom, right? Optical zoom 5 times, and with the remote that will control that says preset 1, preset 2, preset 3. Fantastic. I can do left, center, right. If I see the ball go in the outfield, I can switch the camera, hit the preset, and I've got that view zoomed in to left field, zoomed into center field, and right there for right field. I've got that view because it's a pan tilt zoom, and it's a 5 times optical zoom, and it does have a longer battery life than the Tail Air does. Yes, it does. It's at least twice the battery life the Tail Air has. Yes. Very well excited for it, and it doesn't make any difference if I'm going to be using. I can use that camera with every device I have. I can run it through Mevo. I can connect it to my YOLO equipment because it does have an HDMI port. I can connect it to my OBSBot Talent, which of course it's built for. Right? Yes, very very well excited. Thanks for asking that question. The Tail Air, it's Tail 2. Yeah, it looks awesome, especially for the more advanced AI tracking. Hey, I'm looking forward to being able to play with that AI tracking. They're promising, or they're alluding to some things about it tracking in traffic. Again, I'm thinking basketball again. Definitely baseball. It's got an only me feature. I did see that in some of their promotional materials. It's got an only me feature. So you can say, this is what I want you to track and nothing else. And I suppose that's going to be a swipe of the screen or whatever. in its app, or hopefully on the talent as well. But then it locks into that person. And so if that's the batter in the batter's box, it's going to follow them. And then you just turn that off and go to the next one, maybe. We'll see how it works. Like I said, I don't have my hands on it yet. But yeah, that is some multitasking. Yeah, it's going to be some multitasking. Yeah. But the home game's going to be doing public address announcing and streaming. That's going to be some multitasking too. I've done that before. It's not too bad. You get a groove eventually, right? You just get a groove. Ryan says he's excited about the Avcans Go. It is still disappointing about the software, and I'm sure they're working on it. It's not progressing very well. Very, very quickly, I should say. It probably is well in their internal stuff, but it's just not very quickly. But it's a great little piece of hardware, isn't it? Right? I mean, Ryan and I have gone back and forth a lot on the Avcans, and their little optical zoom is pretty good. Yeah, so that's another one that that was included in my home game setup. It will probably be replaced once I get the Tail 2 in, or I'll move the Avcans over to the first second base shot, and yeah, probably so. That makes more sense for what setups that I'll have for home and away. Imagine putting the tracker box on a batter and it following them around the bases. Yes, that's exactly what I'm imagining. And again, that may be the eternal optimist in me. I may be looking at it rose-colored glasses, but I like that idea, and I can see that it would work. Anyone see this device? Mind Media A5 4K streaming camera with 4G bonding? I will look that one up. Let's make a note and copy what you just put out there, Brian. Oh, come on. Let's get, how about this one? Let's copy that down. Media A5 4K streaming camera. Okay, I got a note to go research that camera. That sounds like a lot of fun. I haven't seen it yet, to answer your question. No, but it's worth looking into. You should make a video on the best way to start commentary. Say more about that, please. What do you mean by commentary? Best way to start commentary. All right, Clive says they've been testing the Avcans Go online late at night, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. They pop up from time to time. Really? So there's an Avcans Facebook group, and you're seeing them come up ever so often, Clive? I need to go back and look for some of that. I'd be interested in what they're getting when they test. Interesting price point on the Tail 2. Yes, similar to the core body, but no additional cost for lens. Yeah, it is. So you've got the VM46 from Nearstream. It's a pretty hefty price tag, right? 10 times optical zoom built in. Don't have to buy an extra lens, but there's no PTZ. You've got the core. It's a price tag too. You have to buy an extra lens. But it fits in the Mevo ecosystem natively, and there's a big plus there. And then this one, yeah, the Tail 2, which there's a lot of promise there. There's a lot of upside, guarantee you. Steiner says he saw it on their YouTube. Steiner, are you talking about Avcans or the one that Brian said, asked about if anybody had seen this device, the Mind Media A5? Just curious as to which one you're talking about. Don't want to get that wire crossed here. I feel like I should start some of that cheesy elevator music again. So the Avcan streams. Okay. So I'll go look at their, if there's a Facebook group, but also I'll look at their YouTube stuff. Make a video explaining how to do play-by-play, how to commentate any sports, like what to talk about and how to be confident. The best way that I have found to be confident is not know any better. I mean, just act like you've got some sense. That's all I'm doing, and I act like I don't have any sense half the time. But yeah, okay. So I don't mean to make light of your request. I love it. I love the idea. Okay. Okay. And maybe I have a little bit of input there. I do talk to people for a living, in front of people for a living. So, okay. Uh, now that I'm through being silly, yeah, maybe that's a great idea. Um, we'll add that to the note. Thank you for the input. Let's get back over here and let's add that to the note. What do you say? Oh, there we go. All right. Play by play and commentary. How to video. You got it. Ryan knows. Yeah, Ryan says you're correct about the commentary. Yeah, just act, yeah, fake it. I mean, so I'm convinced folks love to hear the anecdotal stuff, right? And I just be honest with you, I watch it every week. I'm standing in front of all the people that I stand in front of, right? When I'm talking about things that I need to teach them, they're marginally with me. When I start telling a story, they're locked in. And so Ryan's right. Talk about what you see. It is play by play. You've got number 32 Smith coming up to bat. He's a righty. You don't have to talk like it's radio because they can see it, right? This little freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever he is, last time he was at bat, he did such and such. If you can keep up with that kind of stuff, you may not be able to, but you just talk about what you see, right? Pitcher throws one. He looks like he's a little bit wild. He may be getting tired. You just comment about everything you see, but then in between, a little bit of anecdotal, right? Just helps keep everything flowing. I have to slow down, especially in something like this, especially on these lives, because I get excited. And when I get excited, I stop. And when I get excited, I talk a whole lot faster. And so I have to slow myself down when I'm trying to do something that's, for public consumption. As far as I'm concerned, this is just us. So I just keep talking fast. But when it's for public consumption, I have to make myself slow down, enunciate a little bit. But yeah, so putting together some tips, so, how to do that. I would love the opportunity. Thank you for bringing it up. That's a great thing. Dodie is asking about permission. We talked about the permission thing earlier in the stream, Dodie, and I've run across it once in all the live streams I've ever done. It was baseball, and I don't know what the situation was with them, the other team not wanting it to be streamed, but I assume it was some kind of issue with a kid they had on the team, whether he was in a foster situation and couldn't his presence couldn't be made known there, or if it was a family dispute or what it was. But there was something you could just tell. So yeah, permission during sectional stuff. Oh, okay, yeah, and so during playoffs, usually national, high school, NHFS. NHFS takes over the playoffs, and so we don't stream those at all. Once we expire the regular season, then my streaming season is over for UIL sports. In Texas, you have something called University Interscholastic League, and they claim to own the rights to all the sports. Matter of fact, before COVID, we were not allowed to stream football at all. Even if nobody else was streaming it, we couldn't stream football because they claimed to own it. Now, nobody knows where the UIL got their authority from because they don't really have any, but they act like they do. And so they make rules and people follow them. I don't get it. Anyway, Kevin Harlan has the engineer put a slight delay in the headset to keep him from talking. Really? That's an insider tidbit I am proud to know. Thank you, Dodie. Has the engineer put a slight delay in his headset? Wow. Richard, thank you so much for that compliment. Very kind, very kind. Am I remembering right that you're in Lubbock? Or you're West Texas somewhere, right? Again, cheesy elevator music while we're on hold here. That would be great. Any issues running OBSBot cameras through Mevo Multicam? It's not an issue. Okay, so Eric, I'll come right back to you. Richard, my daughter-in-law just graduated from Tech in December, um, and has moved back to Nacogdoches. My son, his wife, her husband, ouch. My son and daughter-in-law lived out there for a couple of years. He went out there to do an internship at Redeemer Church to work with the kids of the college ministry aimed at Tech, and she went ahead and enrolled in the BSN, Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, accelerated program at Tech, and she graduated in December. He had already moved back because he'd gotten a job in Nacogdoches, but she's fine. She's in December. She moved back as well. So I have family who has some very precious memories of Lubbock, Texas. I am not one of those family. I don't have any precious memories of Lubbock, Texas. The only thing about Lubbock, Texas is it is a long way to drive out there, and I was glad to put it in the rearview mirror. Anyway, just a little common denominator for the two of us. Thanks. Any issues running OBSBot cameras through Mevo Multicam? So long as you go ahead and pony up for the NDI, they're the one company that makes you buy the NDI license in order to have NDI on their cameras. I'm not sure why they didn't do it like Nearstream did, but they didn't. So there that is. But to answer your question, no issues whatsoever. As a matter of fact, when you're in multicam and you look at that input, that OBSBot input, hit the three-dot ellipsis and go into image adjustments or camera control or whatever it is, you actually have PTZ control there with presets. And so you can set your shots even in multicam for an OBSBot camera. It's got the little jog wheel. It's on the screen. You can move it, PTZ control, and then you've got the 4 presets, and all you have to do is long tap, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, as you set them up, and you've got 4 presets in multicam. You just have to go into that section of the software to get there. So yeah, it works great. I've used them many times. Any suggestions on what iPad to run for Mevo Multicam for streaming baseball, softball? I have a limited budget to upgrade, so looking for something that costs less than a Pro. The iPad Air with the M whatever processor, it's what I stream my church services with every Sunday, and it works great. I don't remember if it's M1 or M2. I think it was the M2, but it's an Air M2, so it doesn't have the big camera array on the back. It's got, there's a few things that it's not going to have the bells and whistles that the iPad Pro has, but absolutely great at streaming a multi-camera setup. And I'm running 1 or 2 NDI sources every Sunday on that setup, and then a Mevo or 2 every Sunday on that setup. And I'm now running those overlays through ProPresenter, which is an NDI HQ setup input, which is much higher bandwidth. So as long as your network will handle it, that iPad Air is great. Really, any device with the thanks, RK. Any device with the M1 or higher is going to work great. That was my next comment. So the 2018 Pro that you can get for next to nothing now is still going to be a really good device because I think it was an M1 processor. So yeah, there you go. And thanks, Ryan, but he was asking about an iPad, not an Android tablet. Thank you very much. Don't play his games, Eric. He's just trying to get folks off the golden ticket of the iPad ecosystem. The Apple ecosystem. He's just a hater when it comes to iPad, Apple, and Android. So that's okay. Maybe go for the 10 Plus. Yeah, if you made a money, go ahead. It's awesome. I have the Galaxy Tab S8, and it still works very, very well for handling multiple cameras and Mevo Multicam. So I do have that one Android device that I use for testing, and yes, it works very well with multicam. And there is the rare occasion, if you're in the beta program, where it gets a feature before the iPad does anyway. So not too big to admit that. I'm in the market for a tablet, and I'm an Apple fan at heart. There you go. Yeah. Oh, well, folks, started saying goodbye about 35 minutes ago. Thank you for being here tonight. Thoroughly enjoyed the time that we've gotten to spend together. Look forward to doing it again very soon. If you have other questions, feel free to email me, leave a comment on one of my videos. I try to answer all the comments that I can. Other than that, God bless you guys. Have a great night, and I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Apple does just work, I will admit. See, you know, you're not too big for it either, are you, Ryan? Good stuff. Yes. Remember you said you had family here, not much here. Congrats on the graduation. My son will start. Awesome. Business IT. Oh, fantastic. That's all good. Philip Hughes, I hadn't seen your name yet, but thank you too. I hope I didn't just catch you when you're coming on. But anyway, y'all have a great night.